Hi, my friends. I'm so grateful that I have another opportunity to share my progress with you on the graphic novel that I'm drawing. I have completed the pages drawn and I have scanned them in, and I am in the process of adding the text. So there are so many ways that you can add text to the novel. And there are very cool programs, software programs that are tailor-made for this purpose. But I decided to use InDesign mainly because I wanted to just keep the raw file in a single document, in a what? Where are my words? I wanted to keep it as one document that contains the whole layout at one shot, and I wanted that raw file to remain editable. So I used to use Comic Life, and although what's great about Comic Life is that it makes speech bubbles automatically and it's very responsive in that way, the problem is you can't have multiple pages per document, and you have to export them or save them as JPEGs. So the moment you take it out of Comic Life, that file is now a JPEG, and when you want to make textual changes or copy changes, then you have to basically go back in and import, change the text in Comic Life, and then you have to export it again, and then you take that JPEG and then you import it. And I basically then did import it into InDesign because it's just what's nice about InDesign, you can see the whole document at one shot. You can determine the order of pages and layout. InDesign is just great for multiple page documents that deal with massive stuff like books and magazines, So I just decided, you know what, instead of doing it bit by bit, and I know my speech bubbles, probably some of them look a bit stocky, so I will edit them still, but this is my first draft stage. So I will definitely still make some amendments, and there are some of the drawings that I probably will go back into and also amend. But anybody who has worked on any book before know what a first draft is. It's so exciting because this is the first opportunity that you have to really see the project come together, and it's the first time that you have a global scope of what that project or the story, this book, is going to be like. So it gives you that overall view, and obviously then you're going to identify problems that quote unquote are new, but you didn't know they were there. So it's by no means finished, but I'm so excited that it's finally reached this stage. I've worked so hard for it to reach this stage, so I'm so pleased that I am not standing still. It's moving forward, albeit in tiny, slow turtle steps, but that's fine. At least it's going, it's moving. And I also, you'll see sort of some of the pages seem like they're in ink, and then you'll see some pages that suddenly look like, wait a minute, this is not ink anymore. Have you forgotten to add the ink? No, I have not. It's a conscious decision because if you've seen my previous video on the process, then you'll know that, sorry, I've forgotten what I wanted to say. Oh, yes. If you've seen the previous video, then I've mentioned that there are two voices in the story, and I wanted to visually capture that so that the one voice is in one medium and the other voice or narrator of that story is in another visual medium. So that's why the one is in ink and the other one is in graphite. I will say, though, that the graphite, although it's great to work with, I think in terms of reproduction, and I know some people who've been in the industry for long will be laughing when they hear this, but it doesn't reproduce as well. The ink is just, wow, it's striking and it remains crisp and clear. You don't lose that detail that you've added, into your drawings. Whereas with a lot of the graphite, there's a small moment of, oh no, where did this go? Or where did this soft tonal range go that I added in? But that's part of the process. So I will see still what I'm gonna do with that. I don't know the answer to that yet. But yeah, I'm just showing you a time lapse of some of the layout that I'm working on. For some, it's not going to be so exciting because, yeah, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of back and forth and adding spaces and adding new text boxes, etc., etc. But it for me is a very momentous occasion and I'm very, very happy about it. And if you will allow me, I have recorded a voice note a while back when I was feeling very discouraged. And I wanted to throw it away, and then I was, uncertain whether or not I should do something with it. And I decided I am going to add it after this voiceover. Because it is part of the process and it is part of being an artist, an illustrator, a creative. It's part of the journey, I believe. You reach points where you don't see where the project is going, or sometimes you feel alienated from other people because they don't see the way that your project is evolving. They don't understand it. Or yeah, there are multiple reasons for it. And I think we shouldn't be ashamed of those low points, but we should remember them so that when we do finish things, that we really are encouraged by the fact that we came out of that low point. So I'm going to end off with this voice note just after the beep. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Hello, my friends. Today I want to talk about discouragement. And I want to touch on a topic that is a little bit difficult for me to talk about, but I believe it's important because it's is part of the creative process. It's part of the art making process. It's part of that underground journey that you need to go through before you get to the other side. So it deals with discouragement in your own work, discouragement in not being understood or your work not being understood. Yeah, I think, so I'm going to attempt to articulate my view and what I feel. And I can do this on this channel because my channel is so small and few people watch it. Every single person who support this channel, I love you guys. And I know who you are, so I love you guys so much. But yeah, I think artists of today have a bit of a challenge with the internet and social media. And I think it's important to address that, and it's important to think about that because we need to place social media in context. Social media is great and the internet is great, and we live with this preconceived idea, or we live with this idea that now we're free. Once the internet is there, it broke certain barriers. A lot of people talk about the end of galleries, and a lot of artists promote their own work. A lot of illustrators publish their own work, they print their own work, they create their own work, and it is possible for a lot of them, and they use social media, they do their own marketing. But at the same time, some work is not marketable that we create, and do we only create things that are marketable? Will we only create things that will look good on a screen? So that will look good on the format of a lot of social media. If you think of Instagram, that has the very strong square format. And a lot of art is actually not in a square format, but it tends to be in a 4x3 format, or it's a definite portrait landscape. So the square format dictates a new kind of art making and reading of visual images. Also, the screen is very kind to high contrast work. It's kind to bright work, bright colors. It just presents a lot better. So muted tones, grays, and those kind of things, tonal ranges that are with hues that are close together, they don't look so striking necessarily unless you take a very great photo. And those things dictate it drives a lot of art. You can also see what kind of artworks are popular is a lot of cute things. And I don't by any means say there's something wrong with creating cute characters or cute baby animals and cutie things. I love my fair share of cutie. But I'm just pointing out that those kind of things, those kind of works, do receive a lot more traction. And then a lot of works that ride on piggybacks of other things. So when it, fan art, or when it latches onto already an existing popular fan base, then they tap into that. They tap into that existing fan base.
Um, so, yeah, all those things contribute to very specific works of art that receive a lot of attention. But you seldomly see original, singular work receiving a lot of traction. And I want to talk about that because that's the irony for me. We keep on saying artists are people who are individuals, who are creatives, who are people who think out of the box, who are people who think differently, who are people who question the world, who question society, who shines a light on imbalances. But I don't want to be mean, but I don't really see that kind of art being popular on social media. Um, I I'm struggling to find original work that is captivating and fascinating, and um, it makes me think a lot about outsider art. And we today admire Vincent van Gogh's work, and he is a very popular artist, but he's a post-mortem popular artist. So, or I'm sorry, I think you say posthumously. So after his death, he received a lot of acclaim. His works is now, selling for millions and millions. And people resonate with his work. And so many people love his work. But if you look at his life and you read biographies on his life, he did not receive that kind of attention during his time that he was on Earth. And he was an outsider artist, but also a loner. He struggled to connect with other people. He struggled to have friends. He struggled to have romantic relationships. He struggled to connect with other artists, even, although he desired that, because if you know anything about him, he tried to create that community, artist colony. The only person he had a long-term meaningful relationship with was his brother Theo. And it's through the letters that he wrote to Theo that we learn a lot about Van Gogh and the way that he thought about life. And to me, the most wonderful thing about outsider artists are that they use their art to connect to life. They create art not because they know other people are going to value it, or going to see it, or going to admire it. They create it because they need to create that to connect to this life, to find meaning in this life for themselves. There's another outsider artist who completely fascinated me. Her name is Helen Martins, and her whole house became an artwork. It's known as the Owl House, and she made these beautiful sculptures in conjunction with, she had a helper, a man who helped her, Koos Malchas, and her whole life she focused on this singular organic being. I call this house a being. And it was so moving for me to visit that house. And it just reminds me of when you get discouraged, that you need to still create. You need to create because this is how you express who you are. This is how you find your voice. And even if nobody looks at your stuff, even if nobody likes your stuff, it's something unique of you, and it's your voice. And at least you know you're not silent anymore. I'm trying to remind myself of that. I've had a bit of discouragement. I've had a bit of a pitfall with just last year. I could draw so much. I drew between 6 to 7 hours a day on this. I worked on this graphic novel, and I, for many reasons, don't have that opportunity this year. And I really miss that. And what was the wonderful thing? I drew for myself. I didn't even draw for anybody else. I drew for me and just me.